Well, hello everybody. It's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I'm gonna do bees. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana. It's July 6th, and that's right, we're gonna do some bees. Been doing bees for a few days. And we're gonna go through 2 more colonies that need treatments. I think. Depends how weak they are. Oh, man, I take that back. 3 more. So, yeah, 3 more. Yeah, I forgot about the one single. But anyway, I got a single and I got 2 doubles. One of those doubles, people, a few of y'all have asked to check on. It is the one the tree fell through, and I requeened it with a swarm queen, a small swarm queen. And I've been walking by it here and there and seeing it, and have just never opened it. I didn't count on it to be a honey producer. I counted on just trying to keep it alive with the new queen. And they had like no brood, like 1 frame of brood I could give them. They went through the flow, and when you go by it now, they're covered on the front. So why are they covering the front of the box? Probably because they're just hot and they're full and it's a packed colony. Could be there's maybe some pests pushing them out the door. I don't know. But we're gonna go find out how they did, how they came back, if they came back strong. And we're also gonna treat a couple other colonies. I got one, that colony behind me. You can probably see it back there, kind of pointing with my finger. That's a problem queen. She's been a problem. You ever had one of those colonies where they just keep superseding and keep superseding? She starts laying, they supersede. She starts laying, the new one, they supersede. And we're like on number 3. 6 months into this thing, we're like on number 3. And I'm over that colony. I take a quick look in the honey house. I got 35 supers that I've pulled in the last couple days. And these have got to be extracted, but my honey house is packed out. I got to do some rearranging here today, but we won't do a video on that. We'll just do a video on doing bees. Packed out, but my drying process is going on. Oh, 35 supers and a frame. I pulled that from a nuke I shook out. One of those nukes didn't make that queen when I put the queens in recently, so it had a full frame of honey. And rather than freeze it, I'm going to go ahead and extract it. It's got a little bit of open cell, so I'm drying it. Anyway, got a lot of work ahead of me for this. I'll do 2 stacks at a time. That's usually 5 or 6 good runs through the extractor, and then I'll clean up and the next day come out and do 2 more. I have gotten to the point where I can't pull any more off. I've pulled a total of about 80 supers so far if you count spring and summer. There are still at least a dozen supers left out there. I'm at the point where my schedule will not allow me anymore to go ahead and extract. If I pull off any more, I'm not gonna have time to extract them. So with different travels and plans and commitments, so I'm gonna have to wait. I left the supers on the strongest of the strongest colonies, and what I'll do is I'm gonna just pull them in August, and hopefully the bees will be fine up until that point with guarding the honey, because small hive beetles start picking up now, and if they weaken up any, you lose the honey. But I can't pull anymore. It's gonna be all I can do to get all that done before I need to roll out. And just got a lot going on. So again, the plan is just leave those on until August, come back in August, and pull the last few and put it in the buckets. So let me grab my stuff. We're gonna go out here and take a look at these colonies. All right, without further ado, let's see how these bees are. I'm hoping they're not nasty, but I didn't even think to bother making honey with these. I just wanted them to survive, build up a nest, and be ready for winter. Looks like that's what they've done, if the outside is any indication. That's our front, and as we go around, there's our tree. I got most of it cut. Haven't drug that off yet. Got the fence. I can get across it now. And there's this side. So I'm going to go ahead and go in and see what they look like. And then I'm going to go get the Apiguard and we'll put that on here. The funny thing about this one is the temps, you know, and it's just some colonies washboard more than others. That could be the case. Because they're not really bearding, but they are hanging out. And when it's hot, they'll sit out and washboard. Sometimes they'll clump up. But it's not terrible this morning. Kind of surprising. Now they're over here because the box is not on here straight. See? They're all under here. Just smoke them down a little bit. Get them out the way. That should be enough. This is not a lid. I put this on just as extra protection. Insulator kind of from the sun. Now the only thing that may make these bees a little ornery is they haven't been opened up in a long time. Actually, since we checked to see if the queen took. Alright, let's see. Ow. Yep, there they go. Let's get a little smoke on me. Double check a queen in on here. Let me get a stinger out of me real quick and hope that this isn't a trend. If not, we'll just go get a jacket. Alright, yeah, they're packed up in here, folks. So it looks like a lot of honey in here. They did their due diligence to set themselves up for winter, it looks like. Now, it was a small swarm that I merged them with, a real small swarm. I had found it under a stand one evening on the way out. I was off to my men's group, and I see this ball of bees under there. So I ran and grabbed my easy vac and sucked them out from underneath there and just threw them in a box under the shelter. And then a couple days later, I just merged them. And the queen took. Obviously, she's laying because there's a lot of bees in here. Yeah, it looks like all honey in the top. Yep, the next frame the same way. So I'm gonna have to go in the bottom. Man, this thing is loaded with bees. My goodness. Yes, they've just backfilled everything with nectar. So it's like an entire full top deep full of nectar, folks. It's just all nectar. But she's been up there. So let's look at the bottom. Alright. Well, look, I'm gonna go get my jacket because they're absolutely eating me up now. So I can't keep the pheromone off me fast enough. Let me go switch up and I'll be right back. Alright, folks, I am back. Yeah, they're definitely getting ornery. I even brought my gloves in case that doesn't work out. Might actually just go ahead and put them on. They're eating up my arms pretty good. So I'm gonna put this back together and go on the bottom. There they go. Whoo! Set them calm for a second. Woo-wee. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually put my Apiguard underneath here. I'm gonna put a shim in the middle, just for the time being. Hopefully they don't build a lot of burr comb, but I wanna make sure the Apiguard is over the brood nest. They're mainly in the top, on top of that honey. Like they need more bees. Look at that. Golly, what a... No queen cells or anything. What a good looking frame of brood this late in the year. Well, we're going to slow her down with this Apiguard. That's probably a good thing at this point. Crocs and a big hole in my pants isn't helping. Wow. Oh my goodness. Look at that, folks. July. Yeah, look at that. Wow. And this was a swarm of mine from one of my colonies. I don't know which one, but nonetheless, it was a good queen. And full of eggs. Good googly moo. Wow. And this side, folks, is the same way. There's milk brood, eggs. But I'm going to put them together. I don't see a reason to dig any further. I don't want to harm her. We're going to slow her up with some Apiguard. That slows her laying down some. This colony is absolutely packed. It is packed. And I'm not super surprised that there's no queen cells because it is late. Ooh, they're not happy. They're unhappy bees. But you got to remember, this thing has not had its nest gone through in a long time. So I'm going to put them back together, put the Apiguard on this box, slow her down some, but also get them treated. Now they had a brood break, obviously, so that always helps slow the mites down in the spring, but we're still going to treat them with Apiguard. Probably need to slow them down, but they usually don't swarm. This is when they'll settle in. She should be slowing up after this, but there is some fresh nectar in there. But you notice, if you looked at those brood frames, there's not one bit of backfilling of nectar going in at all. So they're at the perfect stage for the growth. Slow them up a little bit for a couple weeks. Kind of stinks because they're going to be so strong going into winter, but if we don't get the mites, and their mite load is heavy, because remember, when we raise strong colonies and a lot of bees, we also are raising mites, and I want to get a jump on them. So let's get this back together. Let's get them settled down. They're not happy. No reason to keep disturbing them. But there you go. You want to know how they're doing? That's how they're doing. Really well, best I can tell. I probably should have thought better about these Crocs in these particular pants. Oh my word. So yeah, I'd say they came back strong. Well, they're set for winter. Problem is now I got to take that off to treat them next week, but it's all right. I want to get it over the brood nest. I want to be as effective as I can with these mites. Of course, I had the fuzzy thing on the mic. They were going after that. These bees are they're not happy right now. But you got to remember, they haven't had anybody in them in months and months. But they're all new bees, so as far as the old ones being spicy, so obviously it's just a matter of timing, really. I mean, most of my bees now I can go through, and they're pretty good, but these, you got to remember, I haven't been through them in so long. Let me move this box a little more. So, they just don't like it. If I was in them more, they'd probably be a little calmer. All right, good enough. I'm satisfied. What about you guys? My goodness gracious. All right, so we got this single. I'm gonna treat it. This was a small nuke, and what this was a nuke I was made, you know, when I was selling a few extra surplus and made a few nukes. I made this one, and for whatever reason, the queen, she just didn't go. She just didn't go. She was stagnant, and she was short and squatty, and she just didn't do anything. I just left her. Came back about 3 or 4 weeks later, and she was laying in some brood, and I said, well, let me put them in a 10 frame. I'll keep them. I wasn't going to sell her. She had too sketchy of a start for me to be selling to somebody, so I kept her. You just can't sell junk. I'd rather refer somebody than sell junk, and I'm not, you know, again, she might turn out to be a great queen, but I'm not going to sell her not knowing with that rough and checkered past. This is the only bee work I got to do is these 3 colonies. And then I've got a few frames to take care of with some Sertan, BT, and then that's it. So I may not want to treat this one as I look at them. Again, she was sketchy, so there's no telling what I might find. I'm going to have to open this one, actually, because it looks bad. And they're very loud. They don't sound good, nor do they look good. Might be pulling some frames out of here. Wow, they sound horrible, guys. I don't know if you can hear it. I got the mic down close. You hear that? That is not, and they're not gathered on these frames. Tell you, she was sketchy at best. Yeah, look at, when I see that pollen, just pollen, lots of pollen, it gets all brown and nasty like that, there's a problem with that bee bread. Yeah, this is a very queenless colony. no brood. And she was doing so good for the couple weeks that she was starting to lay, but there's no telling. They surely didn't swarm. She was just inferior. So there you go, prime example of why we don't sell junk, folks. We can't do it. We can't do it. All that pollen in there. You sell junk, and wow, look at them. Yes, it's as queenless as they get. See if they're laying worker or not. I don't think so. They haven't gone laying worker yet. But boy, listen to them. All right, well, no need to bother treating this one. Actually, might not hurt to throw some in here in case they die before I get a chance to get to them and they get robbed. It's as good as dead, so they're full of honey. They'll get robbed out, but then the rest is full of that old nasty bee bread, and I cannot clean that stuff out. I'm over it. I'm so over trying to clean out pollen frames. And some of these inferior queens just let them load that pollen to where they're pollen bound. And to me, they're just not using it fast enough if they get pollen bound. She's not keeping up. Or they just got bad genetics or something, because honeybound's one thing, but hoarding pollen and not putting in enough brood when there's a flow hitting and there's pollen rolling in the door, that's a problem with a queen. So there you go. Good reason not to sell a nuke that you ever question. I know I questioned it, and she started laying in some really pretty brood, and I'm like, you know, she looks pretty good. But it took her 6 weeks to do that, and I'm like, I'm not gonna. I said, I'll put her in a 10 frame, and if she turns out good, I'll keep her. She didn't turn out good. And then this other one, it's a problem child. I told you about it already. It just continues to supersede and supersede, and it's frustrating. It's had 3 superseders. One swarm, and I moved that queen. She went over to the apame. That queen, I obviously squished her or something when I was manipulating that apame on that video, because 6 days later there were emergency cells in it. So obviously I hurt her. And I don't know if they've requeened, so I got to check, because then I got to remerge them back with the other queen that didn't mate out of the other side. She hung out, she was in there, she was walking, and then she went on her mating flight, and I don't know if she ever came back. So, if her cells will take over, then we'll be good. I'm not opening the apame though. I'm not going to mess with her until I know she should be mated, which is at least another week or two. And we'll just see what happens. Then I'll just pull the divider board out, merge them together, and call it a day. This one here though, I don't have high hopes for this one. I don't know, we'll see. They had the numbers, but doggone enough for the cells, you know. Cell after cell after cell. I took honey off of these bees, I will say that. During all this, I want to stay, I want to go, I want to stay, I want to go, they did make honey. I got 2 supers, 3 supers maybe. No, 2. Because one didn't ever fill, that's what it was. But I would guess. Nope, we got a brood frame, look at there. Backfilling a little bit with nectar. For this brood frame, I'm trying to think the last time I was in here. That should be, that one is backfilled with nectar. Well, that's encouraging, because that's at least, well, at the most 21 days old. So, trying to think last time I was in here. It was more than 3 weeks ago, so. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, there's a whole frame of brood here. I'm gonna check for eggs. Oh yeah, single egg. So we got a laying queen in here. Let's hope they don't supersede her. And let's hope I don't hurt her. Let's do one more frame. I'm gonna show you this last frame, and then we're gonna get out of here and throw some Apiguard on them. So that's honey. So most of this is honey, but there's a frame of brood, so that's good. Well, I'm happy. Now if she'll just stay there, maybe the 3rd time's a charm. Well, that's exciting. I'm always excited when I find, but this queen has excited me before, and this colony, and they've disappointed me the next week, so who knows. I'm gonna give them some Apiguard. Well, that's good news, guys. Good news. 25. That's half a dose. Get off there, bee. You'll get stuck in that stuff. Let it dry. It crystallizes kind of over. So they don't like it. They get near it and they run away. Once it kind of dries, on there, they'll begin to pick it apart and take it out. I think that's part of the kill with Apiguard is they drag it through the colony, as I understand it. So I don't know, y'all tell me. I'm not sure how Apiguard necessarily kills when it comes to mites. I just know it's thymol. Well, there you go. We got them done. That one colony was not happy, huh? It's almost like February when you first go in them. They haven't been in. And I think there is something to that, going through bees at a regular, I don't say regular as we need. And also when there's a flow, that has a lot to do with it. And are you just ripping honey off? Are you going into nests? A lot of times you start getting out of a flow around here, and I notice my bees, the minute I start breaking into the brood nest, they're not happy. So, you know, hey, they hadn't had anybody in there in a while, and I went and broke that thing all the way open, but they seem good. Obviously, you see the brood. My goodness, that's a lot of brood for July. There should be a slowdown. August, I know the nests usually always shrink, but this is the time for her to slow down for the most part. So she obviously is not, and you see the amount of bees on there. Goodness. So Apiguard will back her down some. What I know is there's a lot of bees going in there, and I've rarely seen problems with swarming this time of year. All right, folks, those bees definitely a little ornery. So what did we find today? One very ornery colony, but you know, we hadn't been in them. And I really believe there's something to going in them more often. And them, you know, I don't know, having their nest blown apart sometimes. They don't get as ornery. Although I try not to go digging in nests right now anyway. They tend to get ornery when you get in their nests as the dearth is coming on. So unless I have to, I do need to do assessments on them, but just haven't had a chance. But yeah, they were a bit testy, so had to suit up and put my gloves on. Next colony, that queen, she was so up and down, who knows. But there's a prime example of why I'm glad I didn't try and sell something that, even though it took a while, yeah, and then it looked good all of a sudden, and I'm like, wow, they look good, but then I'm like, no, you can't sell that. You don't know about this queen. She's got a sketchy past. So there you go. Good thing I didn't. And you know, that's just how it is. Two of them were like that. I didn't sell them because I just didn't trust the queens going out. Their buildup was too inconsistent. Then the third one, I was happy to find a queen and eggs. Man, hallelujah. Praise the Lord. I'm happy about that. That makes me happy because she's up and down. Hopefully she stays, because that's been a supersedure nightmare. Now, the big one, it is packed with bees and brood, but you know, I don't sweat the swarming just now. Plus, the Apiguard is going to slow her down some, which is ideal. She'll have time. It's early enough that she can build right back up, and come fall, she'll build into winter fine, but I'm not sweating swarming. I don't normally see swarming this late that I know of, that I've seen. I've never seen them in the trees. My fronts have always stayed covered in bees in the heat, except for last year in that drought. And I don't know. You see absconds. That's normally what I've seen in the summer. I'm not saying they don't swarm in the summer, but I don't sweat that swarming. They're just content. They've got their brood, they've got their honey in there, their brood nest is in the bottom, their honey is in the top, they're producing bees. You know, don't sweat it too much. I've got all the supers off, so everybody that's got supers off got treated with Apiguard. Those that have kept supers on that I told you I couldn't get to, or maybe I didn't tell you, but there's a few out there. There's probably about 12 to 18 supers left that I'm just not going to be able to have time to get harvested, so they're going to stay on until August. Those will not get treated. That worries me a little bit, because when we're growing strong hives, we're growing mites, and they're peaking now, but I can't get to them, and you're not supposed to treat with Apiguard on there, and I wouldn't. I treated one colony that had a super, that was yesterday or day before in town. It had old frames in it, and I got thinking, you know, I could take that honey, it's 80% full, I could just leave it for them. They needed the space, they were a single. So I left it on there treated, and that super, what'll happen, it'll become a brood super. Eventually I'll weed those frames out, and I won't use them for honey. I could use oxalic acid legally on the ones that still have supers, but first thing is I don't have time to go through a bunch of successive treatments, and you can see there's plenty of brood in some of the hives, so you'd have to go through at least 4 weeks. I don't have that time because I'm gonna be gone to North Carolina, and then I got some other engagements later, a week later, and just no way. And even so, even though it's legal to do with supers, I still have yet to do that. I'm not doing any types of treatments. There's only 2 that I know of you can do. Is it 2? Yeah, I think only 2. Anyway, the 2 I know of is labeled oxalic acid, the right labeled stuff, and Mite-Away quick strips. And even if I did either one of those, I'm not going to do it with supers. It's not my thing. I just don't want to put anything in my supers. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I got to put some frames away. I'm going to use some of that Sertan BT. Stan Gore was kind enough to send me some a couple months ago, and I'm going to try it out. I'm going to pull some frames from the freezer. I got to feed a single over there, so I'm going to build up a food box for them, and then pull some more frames and put the Sertan on them, and I'm going to store them and see what they do, and see if it keeps the moths away. But other than that, I got to go in and extract a whole bunch of honey. So I'm going to let y'all go for now. I appreciate all y'all watching. It's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.